Now I really like to use basil. It's a really versatile herb for cooking. The only bad thing is it's a summer annual, so we only have basil, fresh basil, for about 5 months out of the year. But we get so much of it that we want to preserve it for the other 7 months out of the year. Now, the first year I tried freezing it, which works, but you really can only use it for soups and things like that, because when it starts to melt, it gets really slimy. So drying is really the way to preserve basil. And a couple years ago I tried using our Excalibur dehydrator, but that's extremely time consuming, and it uses, of course, a lot of energy for the appliance. So now I've taken to hanging the basil up in our greenhouse. So the first thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and find basil that's ready to be cut. And once it starts to flower, you can see sort of the flowers coming here. That's really that's when its flavor is at its peak. That's when the plant is as big as it's going to get. So that's a good time. And what I'll do is I'll cut the whole plant down all at once. So we'll go ahead and come down here. Okay, so we cut all the basil, and what we're going to want to do now, so we cut the whole plant at the base, and what we're going to do now is we're going to want to shake it out. So any bugs, anything that's on it, any bad leaves will fall off. So we'll shake all that out, and then what I'll do is I'll just take a kind of a glance through any bad leaves. I'm just going to pull those off, throw them out. This is a fairly good plant, but any blooms for the flowers, you want to pull those off. So that's pretty good. And then what we want to do is wash it. And you're going to want to make sure that you use cold water. If you've got a long hose sitting out in the hot sun, you're going to want to run that water through the hose for a little bit just to make sure it's nice and cold. Otherwise, the basil leaves will get really wilted really fast. Okay. So then you'll want to shake it out just to kind of get the big pieces of water off of it, the big water droplets. And then we'll just, so this one will be ready to hang up to dry. So we cut all our basil, we washed it, we shook out the leaves, we dried it a little bit before I hung it up, just to shake out the big water droplets. But so basically what I did was I hung it with clothespins from the stem in the greenhouse here, and that works pretty well. This will take about 3 days, and these will be completely dry, and then we can come back in 3 days, pull all the leaves off, and put them into our spice container. So after 3 days, the basil is typically ready if it's been hung and dried in a greenhouse like this. Temperatures can reach up to 120 degrees with very, very low humidity. And so once they're ready, they'll be nice and dry and crumbly, and you can take what I do is I just come here, take my container, and then just crumble the leaves up. This is a pretty easy way to deal with them. You can get a whole bunch of basil all in one shot. So now we've got some of the bigger leaves. If you get any stem, just throw that out, and then just crunch them down further. Keep crunching it down until it gets the size of your normal herbs would be, and then you put it in your spice containers and you're good to go. So this is our finished product. We have all of our dried basil, and so basically we just take little pinches of the basil, and we probably want to have another container underneath to catch the stuff that you don't get into your spice containers. If you find any stems, set those aside. And so now we'll have plenty of basil for the wintertime.